Welcome to the Opt-In Podcast. I'm Melissa Franks, your host, and this is where you learn all of the secrets that it takes to go from surviving to thriving inside of other people's businesses. We are just running to the finish line in the last 90 days of the year. And as I say at the top of each one of these shows, every week until the end of the year, we're going to focus on one specific topic that is going to help you, when you understand it and have it broken down, help you get to the end of the year stronger than when you started. I am really interested to have this conversation with you today because last week we talked all about the pivot point, and I had this big aha when I went and looked up the definition of pivot. My mind exploded and worlds were changed. Worlds were changed. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, you should probably go listen to it because it's partially entertaining, partially soapbox, which is what you always get from me. It's valuable. It's so valuable because most of us misunderstand what pivot actually means. So on the heels of that, when we were talking about change and redirecting and looking to the left and to the right while having a fixed point, what I want to talk about today is consistency. Now, don't shut this off. Don't shut it off. I know that there is a trigger finger for all of you that just say, pause, I'm going to move it along and listen to something else when some of the buzzwords, especially from the coaching community, come into play, like consistency. Or if we were going to have a conversation about habits, maybe, or resiliency. There are a variety of words out there today that are just the things to say. If you go look for any famous quote from Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, or heck, even Deion Sanders, Coach Prime right now, or you spend some time with Ed Milet, or any other Tony Robbins, large-scale business coach or coach of athletes, what you're going to find is a consistent theme in their messaging. And that is that consistency creates champions, not skill. Consistency creates champions, not skill. The skill comes from the consistency. So you've heard this. I know you have. If you spend any time scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, you have been bombarded with a variety of short videos with a voiceover talking about how to be a winner. You know this. It's now ingrained in your subconscious. You understand the words. You know what they're going to say before they say it. And you know what else you've done? You have tuned it out. You've tuned it out. You've tuned it out because you're tired of hearing it. You've tuned it out because it hasn't shown up in your life and proved to you that it is true. You've tuned out because consistency is hard and you don't want hard. You've tuned it out because you're overwhelmed. For whatever reason, you are getting bombarded with this message and evidence that if you are consistent, that you will get the results that you want. Yet, many of us, live lives full of inconsistency. If we were consistent, there would not be a multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry. There wouldn't be, because we would all eat the way that we're supposed to eat, or exercise the way that we're supposed to exercise, or do whatever all of the generations before us did. And we'd be happy with where we are. If we were consistent with getting enough sleep, there wouldn't be billions of dollars of companies out there selling you rings to track your sleep schedule, or watches to track your sleep schedule, or supplements to go to sleep, or podcasts and all these things just to talk to you about how to sleep. If we were consistent with caring for our mental health, we wouldn't have a variety of wellness and mindfulness apps out there selling us their goods, teaching us how to meditate, teaching us how to find ourselves because we would be consistent doing it. There is enough evidence out in the world that we struggle with consistency. And because we struggle with consistency, we're looking for the fast fix to get the result that we want. So that brings us to today, where we're going to talk about consistency and we're going to talk about what to do when you see yourself lose it. And not lose it like get angry, but lose your consistency. What are the signs? How can you tell? And what do you want to do differently? So as we do, we went to Merriam-Webster. She is my BFF. If only she were alive right now. But Merriam-Webster is my best friend. English majors love a dictionary. Second to none is the thesaurus. We love words. We love to understand their meaning. We geek out over it. And so I, after learning last week's lesson with pivot, said, you don't know what this means. You should probably go find out what consistency means. So I looked it up. And the first one I found, I was like, oh yeah, this is what everybody's telling us. This is what we're hearing in this constant barrage of messaging. Consistency is achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time. It's achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly. Sit with that for a second, because I think that, quite frankly, is a little bit different than what we think consistency actually is. And I want to dive into it. What I want to do, though, before I do that, is I want to paint a picture of what consistency does and does not look like. So the helpful thing about Miriam is that she always gives you some examples, if she can, and very different definitions. And the other definition of consistency is the way in which a substance holds together. So let's think for a minute about mayonnaise. And I need to preface this with, I can't stand mayonnaise. So if I'm about to lose you again, because now I'm talking about a condiment that kind of makes you want to gag and that you can actually smell right now and is making you nauseous, just stay with me because I'm right there with you. I am your people. Anyway, think about mayonnaise. When mayonnaise is made, it is eggs and oil that are whipped together until they become a substance that holds together. As you use the whisk over time, and if you are not watching this on YouTube, you should, because I'm getting an arm workout right now. As you use the whisk, the substance begins to hold together. And if you use it well enough, the substance always holds together. But if you don't mix it correctly, what happens? It holds together momentarily, which is the result that you want, and then it separates again. And nobody wants separated mayonnaise. Nobody wants actual mayonnaise. Nobody wants separated mayonnaise. So to solve the problem, what do you need to do? You need to go put a bunch of effort in, and you need to stir and stir and stir and stir and stir until you get the substance that holds together the way that you want it to. And then you take a step back. But if you did not achieve a level of performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time, what's going to happen? That mayonnaise is going to separate again. If you are not consistent and diligent over a long period of time with the action that you're performing, you're not going to get the result that you want. And you can get tricked, just like with this mayonnaise example. Early on, you get the result. You see it happen and you're like, oh, I'm good. I don't need to be consistent anymore. I'm good. And then as soon as you back off, what happens? The mayonnaise separates. The results disappear. And if you have ever had to do this before, friends, when you go back to whip the separated mayonnaise, it takes more effort over a longer period of time to get back to that first initial result that you saw than it did the first time. So now you've stopped too early. What the results you had have disappeared. And then in order to get them back, you have to expend more effort. You have to expend more time. You have to expend more energy just to get back to where you were, not to get to where you were targeting. This is why we're having a conversation about consistency. It doesn't have anything to do with all of the amazing motivational speakers out there that are telling you that consistency is the way that you're going to win. You should listen to them, hands down. And when I need a rah-rah mood boost, pump up your energy, yes, you can kill it, Melissa, I go listen to them. I get them in my ear. I get them reprogramming my brain, because that's what those things are, friends, to tell me just continue to show up. Just continue to have a achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time. Just keep going. I put them in my brain. I let them program me when I need it, when I have forgotten, when I am taking a step back, when I can see the mayonnaise start to separate. I absolutely go listen to them. But that is not what we are talking about here. We today are talking about how you build a structure so that consistency happens on purpose, not by accident. Here's what I mean. And I'm going to use a bunch of different stories about my life, my professional life, and maybe something will resonate with you, but I'm going to try to kind of hit the gamut across the board. So when the pandemic hit, I had a smidge of anxiety because when I was in my early 20s, I am not in my early 20s anymore. When I was in my early 20s, I had come out of college where I was working full time and going to school full time, and I was in a sorority and doing all those things that you do in your 20s, and was probably carrying 20 extra pounds, maybe 30. I don't know. I didn't get on the scale because I didn't want to know. And then I went and I started working in a big global retailer, and I was the youngest in the office and did all the things. Like, we went out for drinks, we went out for lunches on the company. I was super poor because I couldn't afford to live where I was living. So we ate a lot of garbage because garbage is cheap in the grocery store, and I did not exercise. And so the results that I was getting, because I was consistently over time eating like garbage and not sleeping enough, is that I gained a bunch of weight. And I had told myself, because this had been going on for so long, that that's the size that I am. This is how I am. This is what it is. And then one day I woke myself up. I'm not even really sure how exactly this happened, but one day I literally said, I don't know why I'm eating this massive thing in front of me because I'm not hungry. And then I waited until I was hungry again. And it took over a day, over 24 hours before I was hungry. And at that point I said, you need to do something else. Now, that's all well and good. I had a big aha moment. Like, there has to be another way. And then I did what almost every American does next. I overhauled my diet. I found a local gym that I was still paying a membership for, but I wasn't actually going to. I found a local gym. I started getting up 2.5 hours earlier to go to said gym and completely changed my schedule. And what do you think happened? Well, I fell off the food wagon very, very fast. And the reason for that was because I started to see results. So I changed my diet, I started moving more, and I started to lose some weight. And I thought, oh, this is awesome. This is great. And then I'd have a cheat day. And then I'd have another cheat day. And then we'd have some like big birthday shenanigans and like have a big lunch and then have my normal dinner. And before I knew it, and I wasn't even paying attention, I was being really inconsistent. I was not having performance that was consistent. It was varying greatly depending on what was going on. And I ended up getting results that I didn't want. Fast forward, I figured myself out. I became consistent. I lost all of the weight, had 3 kids. It's been decades. The weight is not coming back. However, we got to the pandemic, and what I knew to be true that I had programmed myself and taught myself in my 20s, eat right, exercise like a beast on a daily basis, could no longer happen in the way that I understood it to happen because my gym was closed. It was closed. And during that period of time, I had also built the narrative that I was not a runner, that I was not an athlete. And all of a sudden in March of 2020, I had a decision to make. I could either get the results that I know inconsistency gives me, which I had proven to myself and I was clear about in my 20s, or I could find a way to be consistent differently. And long story short, what ended up happening is I became an endurance runner because I knew that consistent application over time of the same things would create the results I didn't know that I was looking for, but I eventually did want to have. I knew that if I got up and I ran every day and I ran a little bit longer and I ran a little bit faster and I did a little bit of intentionality with how I was working out, that I would still be able to stay healthy. And the reason that I knew this is because I had proven it to myself before. Because before I had set a goal and then I had been incredibly inconsistent and I didn't like the results that I got. And as soon as I became consistent, for decades, I had been able to maintain the lifestyle I was seeking. So what I'm trying to share with you is that consistency is something that you must have if you want to achieve results, maintain results, and have them with you over time and build upon them. Because I can tell you that I would have never become an endurance runner in 2021 if I hadn't started being consistent in the early 2000s when I was in my 20s. Because that consistency that I built proved a point to myself. It gave me the results that I was looking for, and then it gave me the confidence to do it again in a different way later. And because of that, it actually sped up the process for me achieving the results that I wanted. It actually sped up the building of confidence and momentum and encouragement for self to keep going. Because I had proven it to myself before and had learned the lesson of what inconsistency can do, I was able in this very specific lane to have enough confidence to pivot, connecting to yesterday. So that's one example of consistency. But in the workplace, this is something that comes up a lot because consistent performance is what gets you promoted. Excellent, inconsistent performance is what has your career stagnate. No, I'm not joking. Let's use this example that I just gave you from my personal life and apply it to a work situation. So let's say that when I had my realization and decided I needed to change my eating and my exercise approach, that instead I had been at work and I decided I was gonna push for a promotion. And so what I did is I figured out the plan. So what do I need to do? I need to get assigned this project that is highly visible and is going to put me in front of the executives. And then I need to deliver it on time or early with quality and cost savings. And I need to solve all the problems before they happen. And I need to just freaking knock it out of the park and all at the same time provide value to the customers, do my day job perfectly, etc. Okay, cool. Likely, if I'm gonna run for a promotion and I'm gonna do all those things that I just said, likely I'm doing nothing else but running for the promotion. I'm not going out to dinner with friends. I'm not seeing my family. I'm not attending my kids' sporting events. I'm working. I am heads down. I am consistently expelling all of the energy and intellect that I have to achieve the result. And I get it. I get it. I get the accolades. I get the awards. I get the bonus. I did it. And then I coast. Because in my mind, what I had said was to get that promotion, I need to prove that I can do the job already. So I'm going to take this one thing and I'm going to prove that I can do that job. And I do. Hands down, unequivocally, I do. And then I coast. Then I come in 20 minutes later than I normally do. Then I take a couple softball assignments. Then I don't raise my hand the next time something huge and big comes in. And as they're evaluating candidates for the promotion, what starts to come to light is that Melissa did really amazing on this one thing. And most of the time, she coasts. Whereas Jeff consistently delivers results. Jeff is liked by everybody. Jeff can identify problems and solve them. Jeff shows up to work on time and Jeff leaves on time, and Jeff tells us 3 months in advance when he's going to go on vacation. Do you know who gets the promotion? Jeff. Not me, who proved that I could do the job, but I would be doing it inconsistently. The employee that shows up and performs consistently over a long period of time is the one that gets the opportunities. Because for businesses, what's most important is predictability. They need to know that what they are buying, that's your salary, is going to deliver them the results that they're looking for. It's like an exchange. When you go into the grocery store and you buy a jar of tomato sauce, you expect tomato sauce to come out of the jar. You don't buy a jar of tomato sauce and then realize you have pesto later. That's not what you wanted. That's not what you bought. I would argue that in that case, you'd be doing well because pesto is more expensive than marinara. But that's besides the point. If you wanted tomato sauce and you ended up with pesto, you're unhappy. Just like if you hired me because I performed amazingly well on that assignment, and then I was phoning it in once I got in the role and didn't deliver results and didn't deliver value and didn't drive the team to excellence, you didn't get what you bought. And then you know what happens? I end up in performance management and then I end up out the door. And the company has wasted money. My reputation has been damaged. I'm now looking for another job and I don't actually know what happened. And it's because I lacked consistency in this example. Jeff is a steady Eddie. Jeff is performing well. Jeff is building relationships. Jeff is doing all the things that Jeff needs to do. What he's not doing is having peaks and valleys in his performance and his behavior. So when you look at this through the professional lens, you can really start to see how when you don't achieve a similar level of performance and quality over an extended period of time, you can really put yourself at risk for achieving the professional goals that you want. So I want you to sit with that just for a minute and consider, where are you not achieving a consistent level of performance, quality over time? Where are you inconsistent? Where are you a high performer one day and then you're sloughing off the next? And what do you want to do about it? Maybe you don't want to do anything. Maybe you have realized that there are parts of your job that you really do not like, and that's why you're spending so little time on it. That's absolutely okay, because you're getting clarity around the work that you do and don't want to do. Caution you, if it's a part of your job and you don't want to do it and you don't do it, you may not have a job for very long. So the reason that I'm talking about consistency today, the reason that it's a focus area for the last 90 days of the year, is because when we start to see results, which you're a month in, so you should be seeing results by now. You should be able to start checking off those early milestones. You should be seeing that your effort and your focus and your dedication is paying off. And you haven't been doing it long enough to create new habits. Now, there's a lot of opinions out there about how long it takes to create a habit. We're just going to stick with the 6 weeks because it's been tried and true for a long time. And if it takes you 6 weeks to create a habit, you haven't been at it for 6 weeks yet. You can't stop now. And it's tempting because you're seeing results. So you say, it's Halloween week. I'm going to take a week off. Or it's, the holidays are coming. I'm just going to slow down for the next few weeks and I'll catch up while everybody's on vacation. As soon as you stop achieving a consistent level of performance, you're going to backslide. You're going to set yourself up to miss your next milestone, which is leading you to the results that you're looking for. This is the period where you have demonstrated to yourself enough that you can and will achieve what you set out to achieve, that you start to look for the easy way to get to the end. You start to figure out how to build in longer rest breaks and see if you can find a shorter route. You know what happens with people who decide to take the shorter route? They get lost along the way. And while the route was indeed shorter, because of the elapsed time that it took for you to realize how to go from point A to point B on the shorter route, you lost time. It took you longer. You walked farther. Have you ever been on a hike in the woods and you see the trailhead and it says if you go left, it's 3 miles, and if you go right, it's 1? And you see a couple of peel off and they go left on the 3 mile and you go right on the 1 mile. And then when you get back to the start of the trailhead, you look down the hill and you realize the people that went 3 miles finished before you. Likely, it's because you got lost somewhere along the way on the shorter path. Likely, it's because at some point your shorter path became the longer path and you didn't even realize it. When you show up consistently, when you work towards your goals consistently, you build confidence. You demonstrate to yourself that you can actually do it. And then we get overconfident and we stop being consistent, and then the results disappear. That's why we're talking about results right now. That's why we're talking about consistency right now, because you're a month in and it's going to be tempting to take a break. It's going to be tempting to change it up. It's going to be tempting to not push as hard or stay as focused, or it's going to be tempting to get distracted. And this right now, this part of it that you're in is the most important part for you to double down on consistency. Would you like to know why? Because you are so close to making a habit. You're so close to achieving the change, the more permanent change that you're looking to implement. You just have to go a few more steps. So as I was thinking about my goals that I have set for this last 90 days, and I talked to you last week about my need to pivot, which I'm actively doing, I constantly am reminding myself that I have a choice every day. I have a choice to get up and do the things that I don't want to do because I know that they're going to yield results, or I have a choice to not and let myself get distracted, let myself do the easy things, let myself take a break. And what I know empirically, be it the weight loss story that I told you, be it the endurance running achievement that I just shared with you, be it my professional missteps and victories, be it any of those things, what I can tell you for certain is that the things that you don't want to do are the things that are going to move you closer to your goal. Those are the things that are going to get you the results that you want. The more uncomfortable it makes you, the more you don't want to do it even though you know how. That is the reason to do it now, to not wait, to not procrastinate, to not delay it for another day, because those are the things that when you do them consistently, when you show up over and over and over and over and do them time and time again, those are the things that are going to get you the results that you're looking for faster than if you do the easy stuff. I personally, because I am an introvert, shocking, I know, I have a podcast, but remember, most of the time I'm talking to myself, hate networking. I hate it. The concept, let me take that back. The concept of it. When somebody recommends to me to connect with somebody else and have a conversation, I can physically feel myself reacting in a negative way. I can feel the anxiety come in. I can literally hear myself internally screaming, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't. It's insane for the level of professional success I've had, how old I am, that this thing is still running rampant. If you gave me the choice, I would be highly successful in a vacuum. With that said, I love talking to people. I miss working in an office with hundreds of people where I can randomly bump into you in the elevator or the stairwell or the cafeteria and just chat and catch up about life and work and kids and whatever. I like people. I like talking to people. And when I connect with them, when we create a virtual coffee or an in-person coffee, or I meet them at the Chief Clubhouse in San Francisco, or fill in the blank, I have a lovely time. I've built lasting connections this way. I have people that I now call friends that I maybe have only met in person one time because of networking. And yet, anytime I have a task or a set of milestones that require me to network, to connect with people, to ask for a virtual coffee, to just information share, it is a Herculean effort to get me to go from the list of people that I plan to contact and actually contacting them. This sounds ridiculous out loud, which is why I'm sharing it. My obstacle is not writing the list. I know I have a healthy network. I know who to reach out to and contact. And I get suggestions and I get new people recommended to me all the time. I have a list all times of people to talk to. It is literally the act of sending the email, sending a LinkedIn message, typing a text, and saying, "Hi, we haven't connected in a while. Do you have time to have a virtual coffee or a physical coffee in the next week?" That causes me so much anxiety that if I am not paying attention to myself, I will delay that into perpetuity. It's ridiculous, but you know what that does? If I had not networked, I would have never been able to move into the startup community after my corporate job. If I had not networked, I wouldn't have been able to find all of the wonderful people and information that I needed when I made that move. If I didn't network, I wouldn't have found the client that I am currently working with who's going to do amazing things inside of the revenue ops community. If I didn't network, I would never ever be able to identify another client. I would never be able to grow my business. I would never be able to find another job. So I know here in my brain, I know that I need to be in conversation with people. I know that I need to continue to foster these relationships and ask for help and offer help because I love connecting people and offering help. I know that I need to do all those things, and I am paralyzed every time that is something that I have to do. Paralyzed. So one of the milestones that I have requires me to network. One of the things that I'm working on for the end of the year requires me to network. And so what I am doing, because I know empirically that I'm going to always resist this, is I'm not allowed to do anything else until I do my networking tasks in the morning. The very first thing that I do after the kids go off to school is I sit down and I do the networking things. Those things are the things that are going to help me get the results I'm looking for faster than ever. I can write social media posts. I can build project plans. I can do research. I can get on a call and make business decisions. I can do all of those things. But the goals that I have for the last 90 days require me to be in conversation with people. They require me to take action after those conversations. And the only way that I can do that is by actually asking for the conversation. So Monday through Friday, I get up, I do my morning routine, I go for my run, I get ready. It's a podcast for a whole other day. I take the kids to school, and then I don't do anything. Like nothing. I don't check the news. I do nothing. I don't even check my email until my networking tasks are done. And then I do all of the other things that are significantly easier for me to do, that don't bristle as much. And if there's other things, so if it's networking and there's something else I can't stand, but I also need to do, it gets stacked right behind it. And my trick for this is that I do the networking stuff and then I get to have a cup of coffee, because coffee is my reward. It's not my first cup of coffee, but I get to have a cup of coffee that I actually get to savor and enjoy. So what I do is, if I have something I absolutely am horrified and terrified to do, and as soon as that's done, I give myself some little reward. I give myself a break. I give myself a coffee. I give myself a whatever to say, I see you. I know that was hard for you. Here's your little kick of dopamine. Now go back at it and get it done. Because I know that if I do this consistently, then I'm going to see the results that I want. And I also know that I have to create habits for myself that are going to enforce the consistency. Because what will happen is I'll network one day and then not network for 3, or I'll network for one day and never respond to messages, and then I'll lose the opportunity to talk to somebody. And that could make the difference between a deal and no deal. So consistency is necessary in order to realize the results that you're looking for. I thank you for staying with me as we talked about consistency today, and all of my stories and my analogies. And if I offended you because I said I can't stand mayonnaise, I'm very sorry about that, but I really cannot stand mayonnaise. And I guarantee you that you're never going to think about consistency the same. Anytime somebody says the word consistency, you're going to think of a jar of mayonnaise. I'm just saying, now the visual is in your head forever. So I encourage you to evaluate if you are achieving a level of performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time. I challenge you to think about if you're being consistent. If you're not, if you are showing up inconsistently towards one or more activities that you need to do, what can you do to enforce consistency within yourself? What do you need to reorder? What do you need to prioritize? What negative voices do you need to shut down? Who do you need to ask for help? What do you need to do to begin to deliver, show up, take action consistently? 2 months left. You have plenty of time to get the results that you're looking for by the end of the year. And all that it takes is you recommitting to consistent action. So I wish you all of the best until next week. I want you to know that you are wise and you are strong and you are capable. I believe in you. If there's somebody out there that you know needs to have a kick in the butt about consistency, please share this podcast with them. If nothing else, they'll get a chuckle. Have a great week, friends.